Coming to you live from the Great Hall in Toronto, Canada, it's Long Night with Vish Khanna. Tonight, Vish welcomes author Tim Falconer, voice coach Micah Barnes, and singers Damian Abraham and Casey Mecija. Your house band is The Bicycles. My name is James Keast, and here's your host, Vish Khanna.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Long Night. My name is Vish, and these people over here are The Bicycles, and this gentleman is James Keast. How about a round of applause for these people? We have a good one tonight.
It's a good one.
We are talking about singing and music, and how our love of music doesn't necessarily translate into our own musical ability and skill.
No, it certainly doesn't.
Now, you are the editor-in-chief of Exclaim magazine,
Yep.
which is one of Canada's only national music magazines, and
The only.
There is at least one more.
Is there?
There is. I don't want to make this into that.
Just saying.
It really is another one. Anyway, yeah, so you're a big music fan, obviously.
Absolutely.
And what about singing? Do you ever sing out loud or in public?
I very rarely. I will be convinced to do a karaoke night, but not often.
And what kinds of songs might you sing in a karaoke situation?
I don't really want to give it away here.
Oh, you do the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
My go-to
song,
is
Give It Away. Is that what you do?
Usually is the Pretenders' Brass in Pocket in the style of Leonard Cohen.
That's really fascinating. Can we get a little?
Use my legs. Are
you coming on to me right now?
Imagination. Whoa.
Wow.
It's very odd. It's an odd sort of slow core.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know you had that talent. That's amazing.
No, I don't break it out very often.
Well, we're actually, on tonight's show, as I say, we're discussing our relationship with our own voices and the act of singing, because a lot of us really enjoy the act of singing, but I'm not sure that a lot of people enjoy us singing, right? I mean, I enjoyed that. That was great.
You don't want more of it.
Do you know, I used to have a Leonard Cohen answering machine and outgoing message. You guys want to hear that? Or would you like me to move along with the show? Because we can do other stuff. No, I'll do it later. Maybe I'll do it if you're really good. But anyway, I thought it would be nice, actually, not to just hear from us, but to hear from people in our, in the room. So it's time to find out what the people in the room are thinking in a new segment we like to call Killing Time on Long Night by talking to members of our studio audience. Hi, guys. How are you?
My name is Shanti.
I noticed you're assisting James with the mic there. That was amazing. Your name is Ashanti?
Shanti.
Shanti. Oh, that's a very nice name. That's very nice. And what's your name?
Tony.
Tony? Yeah. Oh, that's a nice name, too. I've never heard that. Tony, it's very exotic. Where's that from?
I think it's from Italy.
You think it's from Italy. You don't know who you are, do you?
Mine's is from Scotland.
You're from Scotland?
Yeah.
Are you visiting?
No, I live here.
You live here?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, so
Okay, all right.
Here.
Now, as I say, we're talking about singing in our voices. Are you two people that like to sing in public ever, Tony?
Not so much in public. In the shower, for definite. I've got neighbours. They hear it.
Right. You feel like you're performing when you're in the shower.
Yes.
And it's
definitely.
going through the window.
Yeah. Down through the pipes.
Down through the pipes, right. Okay. That's creepy. You're a little creepy. I have to say. I'm a little creeped out by your Italian-Scottish heritage and your shower singing. What about you, Shanti?
No, I don't. I talk a lot. I have a podcast, and sometimes I do a little la la la, but then I apologize for it right away, so.
Is this just a ploy to plug your podcast?
Yes, it is. It's about groupies. It's called
about
Muses and stuff.
Groupies. Wow. Okay. This is weird. I'm finding the dynamic a little odd, but that's okay. Do you guys ever do karaoke?
It's been a while.
Can you give us an example of a song you might sing at karaoke, Tony?
Played. I am the girl with golden hair. I want to sing it out to everybody.
What song is
What a joy, what a life, what a chance.
Wow.
Thank you for the music, the songs I'm singing. That one. Yes, you said.
Ashanti, you don't sing.
I've done karaoke one time.
Can we hear something? I just am curious.
On anything by Tom Petty.
Yeah, go ahead, sure. We have the rights to
For
that.
one desperate moment there, he crept back in her memory. God, it's so painful, something that's so close is still so far out of reach.
Wow, wow,
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
Very nice. That was some good gusto, actually. That was great.
It's about presentation, right?
No, that was
Presentation, not voice?
Confidence in presentation. It's true. Now, has anyone ever told you they don't like your voices? Perhaps a neighbor, Tony?
Not that I can remember.
No, you've never been told. Everyone's always been, yeah, please sing more.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Okay, Shanti, what about you?
No.
No one's ever said, please stop whatever you're doing. I get that all the time, so that's why I'm just asking.
I've like played a song for my dad once on the guitar, and I was practicing, and he was like, "Was that the first time that you ever played that?" And I was
Right.
like, "Yeah, that was the first go at it, but
So
I've got a terrible
You
voice."
two just have confidence, really, and that's what makes you confident to sing in public in front of strangers. This is insightful for our conversation, so thank you, Tony. Thank you, Shanti. Thank you for joining us. Hand for Tony and Shanti, everyone. Wow. What'd you make of that?
Braver than I am.
That was, well, you did the Leonard Cohen thing. I thought that was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, but you'd warned me ahead of time. I'd been practicing for days.
That was days of practice for this? No, I'm sorry. I don't mean this is the very point of this episode. We're going to explore these notions of good and bad singing and our relationships with our voices further with tonight's panelists. We have author Tim Falconer is here. Musician and vocal coach Micah Barnes joins us as well. From one of my favorite bands, Fucked Up, Damian Abraham is here. And my good friend Casey Mecija will be joining us as well. We're going to take a short break. Yeah, Casey. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll be joined by Tim and Micah. So stick around, everybody. Thanks for being here. Promotional consideration provided by Long & McQuaid Musical Instruments, serving musicians in Canada since 1956 with 75 locations from coast to coast. Visit long-mcquaid.com for info on cities, stores, and services. Welcome back to Long Night. Our first guests tonight are Tim Falconer and Micah Barnes. Micah Barnes is an award-winning touring jazz artist and an in-demand vocal coach based right here in Toronto. Tim Falconer is an award-winning writer and esteemed teacher who's also based in this city. House of Anansi recently published his compelling research-based memoir. It's called Bad Singer, The Surprising Science of Tone Deafness and How We Hear Music. I'm thrilled that they could be here today, so please welcome Micah Barnes and Tim Falconer, everyone. Tim, Micah, thank you so much for being on the show.
It's great to be here.
How are you guys doing?
Excellent. Good.
Excellent, that's great. Now, let's start with you, Micah. How do you know Tim?
I don't know him.
Oh,
No,
there-
I guess I do.
There's a little tension now. You must know him a little bit.
Yeah, because we had a mutual friend who's a journalist and a writer who suggested to Tim when he was going to write this fantastic Bad Singer book that he would need a real character if he was looking for a voice coach. And I think I'm quoting correctly.
Right.
You'll need a character
Sure.
for your book.
Right.
No, that would be me.
You think of yourself as something of a character.
Well, I do now that I'm in a book, yeah.
Oh my God, your ego is running amok right now.
Fantastic. I'm hoping for the book rights and the film rights. I hope I get to play myself in the movie version of the book.
Now, if not you, who should play you?
Should be someone devilishly handsome, don't you think?
I
Vish?
agree, yes.
Yeah, it's gotta be. Who can we find? You! You are perfect!
Now, Tim.
Make this talk show seem awkward. Well, then somebody also have to play me.
Exactly. Who
We'll
are we gonna
find
get to?
somebody who has a suit.
I'll get Damian. He's got the beard.
Perfect. I was confused when I first came in.
Maybe Tom Hanks from Castaway?
Yeah, that
that
would
would
work.
work?
Yeah,
No.
I'll take that.
I'm just teasing. Now, Tim, tell us about your book and what prompted you to write this thing.
Well, I started with a simple question: can I learn to sing? I've always loved music all my life, and I always thought it was tone deaf, but I didn't really know what that meant. And a couple of musicians said, well, I don't think you're tone deaf, you're just not trained. And I did some research, and tone deafness is actually really rare. When I started working on the book, they put it at about 4% of the population. They now think it's 2.5% or even less. And the scientists call it congenital amusia. They don't call it tone deafness. A lot more people than that think they're tone deaf because we just use it casually to mean bad singer. So I said, okay, well, can I learn to sing? And after 2 lessons with Micah, I went to a lab in Montreal where the pioneer in this research, a woman named Isabelle Peretz, works, and she in her lab diagnosed me as having congenital amusia, being amusic.
You put yourself really through the ringer in the course of, as you're reading the book, so many, like a litany of tests to try to figure this out.
You know, as a writer, I'm always asking other people questions and hanging out and watching them and being annoying to them. This was the first time that people were more interested or as interested in studying me as I was in studying them.
Right.
So every time I would get in touch with a scientist, he or she would say, "Oh yeah, can I study you? Can I give you a test? Can I give you an fMRI?" So yeah, I've been studied in labs in 2 countries, 2 provinces.
Well, good for you. That's actually pretty good. I would think you would be a little bit flattered. Everyone wants to study you. No one wants to study me. I could use some work. Can we get some specialists in here for me? That would be great. No? All right, that's fine. I'm curious about the relationship between tone deafness and singing. Is tone deafness something that can be detected by someone's speaking voice? You know what I mean? It's interesting to me that we think of tone deafness as something that's associated exclusively, I think, with singing or music, right? Is that, I guess it's...
There's not 100% consensus on this, but I think most people believe that it's a part of the brain that just affects music perception.
Oh, it's just music.
It's just the perception and the production of music.
Huh.
And it's a neural pathway that in my brain is underdeveloped. It's smaller and not very efficient. So the analogy I use is like a highway. Someone like Micah, who's a great musician, he's got a 400 series highway in his brain, an interstate. I have a little pokey blue highway, 1 lane each way, can't go very fast.
Right.
And so the information moves slowly.
And I would think that psychologically this must take its toll on you, right? I mean, what was this like to discover through, all your research and all these experiments that something just wasn't exactly right?
It was hard, but as well as being a singing coach, he's kind of a therapist.
Micah?
So
I can see that.
So he talked me off the ledge a lot.
I might be able to help you, Vish. I think I will. Well, I think the most important thing that Tim did for himself in order to, overcome that sort of problem about being in his body is he had a beer before every lesson.
Loosened up.
At the beginning, eventually I stopped doing that, but he lived right near a bar.
That's how I treat these shows too.
Yeah.
A little,
Lying.
get a little loose.
Yeah, why not?
Actually, so Micah, how would you characterize your time working with Tim?
It was really good for my personal development. I became a much more patient man. And I was just telling Tim over there, like, for real. I mean, I have a rock star personality, so it's really good for me to coach people who force me to really check my ego at the door. And, like, I have got to be patient and kind and,
Yeah, you do come across as a real character in the book, I have to say.
You found that?
Well,
Yeah.
and also, like, you're a hard ass. Because
Right.
Tim was a bit lazy with his no offense.
No,
I know
thank you.
I know you have a condition. I'm not trying to insult you, but you had a lot of homework that you were supposed to do, and you just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And Micah he'd let you have it, frankly. So this is mostly on you.
Yeah. No, it's true. At the beginning, I was not a good student. I think I got better.
Have you ever encountered?
Yes.
He did?
You did.
By the end, I was working
But
pretty hard.
have you ever encountered a client in your role as
Right.
as a vocal coach? Have you ever encountered a client like Tim or with his condition?
No, I haven't. And so because most people who have even been told they're tone deaf won't go near a voice coach, it's like doesn't make sense, right? But what was fantastic, because I knew that we could get Tim a certain distance down that highway, right? So I had a confidence in that.
Yeah.
And I knew I would learn a lot. I knew he would learn a lot. And we weren't going in thinking you're gonna come out of here as Pavarotti. We both knew that there would be a realistic, we're gonna set our expectations in a decent area so
Yeah.
no one gets upset,
Right.
So I learned a whole lot. I've never taught anybody. I had to invent stuff that would work for Tim visually, what he couldn't hear. And I just used Tim's natural intelligence as a guide. And because he worked visually, we came up with some ways for you to work. What is that melody doing? Stuff like that. It was really great for my skill set.
There's a lot of anomalies here. I mean,
Yeah.
physically in your work, that's interesting.
Yeah,
There's a section in the book that I found fascinating about guitar face. Tim, can you tell people what the guitar face is? I mean, we probably know, but can you explain what that's about?
So one of the things, as I say, I started with the first question was, how can I learn to sing? The second question after I was diagnosed is, what is amusia? And the third question, because the scientists were very surprised that I loved music, even though I had this condition, because most people who are on music either are indifferent to music or actively dislike it. So I tried to figure out, well, what do we really listen to when we listen to music, or what are we really hearing? And one of the theories is, we think of music as we're hearing it, but we're actually also feeling it. Anyone who's been to a dance club and felt that thumping bass knows what I'm talking about. But we're also seeing it. So when we watch a band, we're seeing the drummer. We could see the rhythm that way. The guitarist might be tapping his or her foot. We're seeing that the orchestra leader is conveying information, and singers are as well. For example, Frank Russo at Ryerson University has done studies. When people watch a singer, when the singer smiles, within 200 milliseconds, you will start to, if you're watching that singer, you will start to smile too. Oh. So we're mirroring. And if you go to an opera and you see this person, the eyes go higher and the mouth goes bigger, we see that effort, and we think, oh, this is very emotional. And so guitarists, and Frank Russo, when he was working at the old Ontario Place Forum as a teenager, B.B. King came to play, and he was backstage. B.B. King was this totally chill guy, but on stage, he was really frenzied and all these faces, and he realized this was part of it, that making those spaces conveyed some kind of musical information to the audience.
Yeah, there's just a lot about I know it's a very specific topic, but I learned a lot about the human body and how we communicate with our bodies just from reading your book. The research is very fascinating, and I commend you for the book. We are actually going to take a quick break, and when we return, we have some singers who are going to join us. Damian Abraham of Fucked Up and Casey Mecija will be joining us. So yeah, stick around. No flipping, everybody.
Long Night would 100% not be possible without the generous support and encouragement of Toronto's amazing multidisciplinary arts festival, Long Winter. Visit torontolongwinter.com for more info.
We're back here on Long Night with our guests Micah Barnes and Tim Falconer, and we're discussing Tim's new book, Bad Singer. We're joined now by two of Toronto's most distinctive singers. if I might say. I hope this doesn't make you feel self-conscious.
Nope, not at all.
What about what I just did? That's probably a little awkward. I'm just going to keep going. You're great. Wonderful people.
I like your hair.
You like my hair?
I like how you've grown your hair.
Oh, thanks. Back to me. Casey Mecija. Casey Mecija was in the wonderful rock band Obiju and has recently embarked on a solo career under her own name. And Damian Abraham is the beloved singer in the vital and crucial punk band Fucked Up. Please make some noise for Casey and Damian Abraham. Hi. Thank you very much for being here. I like your hair too, Damian.
I styled it after what you're going to look like one day.
Why? Why do this to me?
Because
I'm so happy right now.
I know, because I'm jealous.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would lose this in a moment.
I had that with this.
Did you?
Yeah.
But you were like, I want to look like Rollins, circa 87.
Yeah. That's what I was. It's also because of the Joshua Tree's anniversary tour. I'm going for more of a Bono.
Bono.
thing. Yeah.
But did he have a side part?
No,
or was
he
it like
had
a middle?
I don't know what he
It was like a
had.
middle
Yeah.
type thing.
I
Right?
don't want to talk about Bono.
I can talk. You're the one who brought him up, buddy.
I
can talk
did.
about
I
Bono
did.
all night.
I just bring up Bono sometimes. Now I'm interested in what brought both of you to singing because, like I said, you're very distinctive singers. Casey, do you remember why you felt comfortable, in fact, singing?
Well, I grew up in Brantford, Ontario, and my parents moved there from the Philippines after arriving to Canada, and they enrolled me in singing lessons. I joined the church choir, I joined choirs at school, and it was really their way of integrating me into the community outside of our Filipino community. And so it gave them the opportunity to dictate the circumstances, the situations where I could be a part of a social environment that I could ease into, that they could feel comfortable in, and that's sort of how I got my start singing.
It was a social component. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think so. I think my parents were just trying to find a way to integrate us as smoothly and as comfortably as possible, and it was keeping them in mind also. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, you're a lovely and beautiful singer, if I might say.
Thanks.
But now, Damian. No.
I'm beautiful, though.
You are beautiful. No, same question. What compelled you to start singing?
I guess I've always loved music,
Yeah.
you know, like all types of music. And then when I discovered punk and specifically hardcore, I discovered a music where I felt like, well, this is the kind of voice I would want to have in a band. Like, I think I've always loved all types of voices, but I think it's when I heard, probably it was Minor Threat, as cliche as that is, but like when I heard that kind of vocal delivery, I'm like, I could do that. I can find my entry point now, because I don't have skill.
Well, for people who don't know Minor Threat, describe that vocal delivery and how it applies to what you do.
Picture like the best yelling to you've ever had. Like picture like every mean person, but this time it's positive, yelling at you. And it's almost like a, well, you know, you're a hardcore guy. I've seen you in the basement of Who's Emma. Don't act like you don't know
No,
Minor Threat is.
some people, I'm talking
I'll
for
bring
them.
them all in too, but
I know
You're
what
being
you
a
mean.
good host.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Thank you. A good host with good hair. That's my goal.
A good host with great hair.
Great hair. Thank you very much.
Great hair. You gotta win.
You each have very distinctive styles, though. Like you both stand out, I think, in this city and in this country, in the world, really. Damian, how would you actually describe your approach to singing when you've got to play a up show? Mm-hmm. You're a showman. Let's not. Like you're jumping around, and sometimes the mic gets lost. Like it's a performance, right?
Yeah. Well, like as Tim described, like when you see a singer on stage smile. Granted, I normally have the opposite reaction when I see a singer on stage smile. I'm always like, oh, they're smiling way too much. But I think, but like you do kind of like mimic it because there is a performance, right?
Yeah.
You're taking it in. You got to put on a show for that audience, no matter who you are, no matter how abrasive that music is. Like,
But so in your case, is the singing almost secondary to being a show person?
No, I think the vocal is very important. Like I don't like instrumental music. Like I've really tried, and there's definitely like instrumental bands that are aggressive too, right?
Yeah.
But it just doesn't scratch that itch for me.
Right.
Like I think I need, and it doesn't even matter the language. Like I love Japanese punk, probably most of all, you know,
Right.
or like Scandinavian punk or South American, various countries in South America.
Right.
like, it's just something about that honest kind of delivery that you don't always get in music.
So do you have any training?
No.
But the training you got was going to shows.
Well, yeah, like
hearing
in
stuff.
studying. Yeah. Like I listened to John Brannon and studied John Brannon from Negative Approach, who was the Elvis of my genre, for hours. You know, like I would watch Iggy Pop footage and just like watch what he did on stage with his hands. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna steal that. That looks really neat. But
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's just like, yeah, mine's more of an emulation than
Right.
than a skill.
That's interesting. We're going to come back to that. Casey, what about you? You mentioned that you had training. You went to, you sang with people.
I did. Donald Wakely was my singing teacher for the majority of my young life and taught me all the songs that I return to when I think about my childhood.
Right.
Yeah. But there's a poet who said that, her name's Anne Carson, and she said that in every sound we bring a bit of our autobiography. And so when I'm singing, I'm really trying to fold inside of myself. And Damian, I think you're talking about this in performance. We have this opportunity to express things in words, but also through how we perform sound. Mm-hmm. We don't necessarily have to be saying words. We are just expressing emotion through this wind that's coming out of our bodies that produces this, vibration that communicates to an audience, and that feels like a very powerful thing.
Yeah, like Tanya Tagaq. I think like that's
Tanya Tagaq?
Yeah. One of the greatest vocalists in the world.
Right.
And a lot of that isn't necessarily words that are decipherable when you're hearing the music, or a lot of times it's just sounds that she's putting out there.
Yeah.
And it's like there's something that comes through and is conveyed that goes beyond language.
Well, I was saying to Tim earlier that I find it fascinating that tone deafness is really, the detection of tone deafness, I should say, is really through music and singing. You two are broadcasters, and people hear your voices in different contexts, right? You're singers, but they've also heard you on the radio or a podcast. Has anyone ever criticized your speaking voice?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I did Q. That was a
really?
brutal gauntlet of judgment afterwards. Oh my gosh! Like,
Yeah, you were in the Game of Thrones situation there with the Q, right? You were one of you auditioned?
Afterwards, they're like, "Do you want to be considered for the job?" I'm like, "No, my God, no." I was desperate for work. I needed the money, but there was no way I needed this badly.
What kind of criticism did you get?
All sorts, everything.
Oh.
Like the way I pronounce certain words. Like I think. Looking at what Shad had to go through on that, and obviously, like, I had a lot of white privilege in that situation, but, like, looking at what he had to go through and the way people judged the way he spoke and his language, like, I had a lot of empathy from afar because I was, I'd turn off my mentions. Like, it's just, people would be critical of the way you pronounce a letter.
Right.
You have so much time on your hands, I can't believe it.
But it gets to you.
It doesn't get to you until it's the volume of it.
Right.
It's like, I think that's the hardest part. It's like the YouTube comment era. Like, we're in an era where it's everyone with an opinion can get to you.
Yeah.
And it's the negative opinions en masse that I think wear you down. Like,
Casey, have you had anything?
No, I've had similar experiences, especially in the form of radio, where in a lot of situations that I was in, I was asked to perform a script that wasn't something of my writing. So you have to voice an honesty, an integrity to words that weren't written by you.
That's fascinating.
And then
isn't it?
once an audience listens to it and decides that they don't trust you, then you get called names, or you get called unprofessional, or they attack you on your pronunciations,
Right.
and it's a very vulnerable position to be in. And I like how you brought up Shad, because I think that those circumstances are difficult to deal with, and it's a very difficult job.
Yeah.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, I think doing what I do, and that's even when I used to smash stuff on my head, and believe me, if you haven't seen our band play, it's very family friendly. That was still much easier than the amount of abuse you kind of put yourself through when you're reading someone else's script, trying to internalize it, trying to also digest what they're writing the script about.
It's fascinating. People really have a visceral reaction to people's voices. It's
And being brought back to that time.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make it bad. I do. We're running a bit short on time, but you said something about emulation. You were talking about reading other people's scripts. Micah, one of the hardest things I think a singer or a broadcaster can do is actually trust their own voice, find and trust their own voice, rather than trying to emulate someone. It must be a big stumbling block. Is that something that you encounter in your work teaching?
Yeah, but like I think every singer goes through a period where like we want to like sound like our heroes.
Yes.
You know, there's a moment where I think it's important to kind of go, that's singing that I want to do, and then like we kind of embody that and try it on for size and sort of see how it works for us, and then you know, then eventually you want to like slowly unzip that skin and walk out of the other person's thing and kind of walk into the strange, vulnerable new world with your new, untried skin. Try to make your own sound, you know. And it's weird because we can't really tell what it's doing to people when we first like make what is our sound. You just kind of have to trust your instincts, and that's hard to do. And I think it's a certain kind of personality that will get up in front of a band, in front of an audience, and trust their instincts and kind of go, well, this is what I need to say, you know? Yeah. Well, if you can do that, then you're probably built for this, you know? If you need to imitate someone else and stay safe, this may not be for you.
Right, right. It's a huge thing.
Yeah.
We do have to go to a break, but I was hoping before we went to break, Micah, can you sing something for us?
With pleasure.
I figured you'd say that.
Oh, I love to sing. I mean, it's a weird thing. I love to sing. I'll sing anything you guys want. I know. This was the first jazz standard that I learned. And when I was like 12, this was really complicated. My heart is sad and lonely. For you I sigh. For you, dear, only. I tell you I mean it. I'm all for you, body and soul.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much. Wow. Micah. Wow, that was great. Thank you. We have to take a short break. We'll be back with more in a moment. Stick around. Thank you, Micah. Wow. Come on. Thank you.
Next time I'll do it with those guys.
Promotional consideration is provided by Planet Bean, a Guelph-based coffee company with service throughout Ontario. Fair trade, organic, and yummy. Visit planetbeancoffee.com for more info. Yeah. The Bicycles. What a great band. The Bicycles? Come on. Good job. Well, we're back on Long Night. We have a little bit of time left before the end of the show, and I thought very quickly I'd ask everyone on the panel to name their favorite singer. I thought that might be interesting. Let's start with me. By the way, Micah, that was beautiful before the break. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Micah, come on, guys. Micah. Great.
Well, it's hard to pick one, you know. Like but I have to say, I quit the rock and roll band that I was in when I heard Billie Holiday. So she's probably my
Billie Holiday
ultimate. Yeah,
okay, that's good.
And I told the band that I'm going home to become a jazz singer, age 12.
Really? That's interesting.
It's ridiculous.
No, it's great. And now look at you. You probably chose the right path. All right, Tim?
Nico Case.
Nico Case.
There you go. Right?
She's a powerhouse. So in your... this is confusing. If you were to try to emulate Nico Case...
No, I wouldn't. No.
I'm not asking you to, but you hear her the same as we hear her? You just can't mimic it. Is that right?
I'm not hearing it exactly the same because I have trouble with pitch, but there's so much more music than pitch.
Right.
But she's such a great singer that even I can tell she's a great singer.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Tim. Damian.
Jackal from Why Die.
Cool.
Oh, why?
Why Die?
Okay, that's a good answer, I guess. What is the style of?
You look them up.
Okay.
It's a lot of brutality.
I thought instead of looking it up, I would directly ask you the question.
I think
That's why we have conversations. It would be weird.
Jackal from Why Die is criminally underappreciated, so why not spread a little mystery behind the history so people can go look it up.
Okay, that's fine. Good. Thank you, Damian. That's good. It's good to have someone you like, and we'll look them up on the Google.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll Google.
YouTube?
Fine. Casey?
And Nina Simone.
Nina Simone. Yeah, she's amazing. I don't even need to ask why. Nina
just
Simone's,
is.
and I mean the songs. It's not just the voice, the songs that she. Yeah.
There's a funny story about her singing. Did you guys know she started as a classical pianist?
Yes.
And she only sang like because she could make more money on
Yeah.
it, right? And like she didn't think of herself as a singer at
No,
all.
she's a brilliant musician.
Yeah.
Did you see the documentary?
Yeah, it's wild, eh?
Yeah, unbelievable. Have you seen that Nina Simone documentary? It's unbelievable. All right. Well, thank you. That's interesting. Now, I believe, no one asked me, so I'm not going to say anything.
Hey, what's your favorite singer?
Oh, thanks, Mika. I'm going to say Bob Dylan.
Awesome.
Bob Dylan's my favorite singer.
Yeah.
Every one of his voices is interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I like it. Damian, what do you think of that?
Yeah, Bob's good.
Okay, good. I believe we have some questions from the audience. James,
Yes?
what do we have here?
Harry Nilsson is the answer.
Harry
Thanks
Nilsson.
for asking.
Oh, great. You know who else I would have said maybe is Mike O'Neill. Anyway, go ahead. What do we got over there?
We have questions. Questions from James to start.
Hi, I'm James. I'm actually a registered speech language pathologist in British Columbia. I wanted to ask Tim, with your work with Micah, so usually in order for us to produce things with our voice and our speech, we kind of need to be able to perceive it. So I was wondering if you had if you were doing any exercises to kind of recognize that this is something that's high-pitched, low-pitched, and then try to do it, or you were just trying to produce things with pitch, so I was wondering if you worked on both aspects of that, perceiving and producing.
Is this an exam? Wow, that was...
Sorry. I just found this really interesting.
No, it is. It's fascinating.
Yeah, because I studying speech therapy, although I said speech, but we also work on the voice.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of Amy Zia before, so thank you for bringing it up.
All right.
Yeah.
You should get his book. It's
Yeah.
great. Great book. Do you have a
Thank you.
response?
Well, first of all, the way the scientists talk about amusia, it's perception and production. So if two tones are within about half a semitone, I can't tell them apart. So it's not that all tones sound the same to me, but close ones. My singing is off by more than a semitone.
Oh, okay.
So my singing is off way more. And the way I did work with Micah on matching pitches, occasionally he would try getting me to match his piano tones, and I found that just way too hard. So I tried to match his voice, and I could get a little bit better with that. And that's because of timbre translation. It's a lot easier to match another voice than to match an instrument. And
Right.
even people who don't have my problem would say that.
Okay. Well, that's great. James, you satisfied?
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Glad we could help. Thank you, James. James Keast, what's next now?
We have a second question now. This is from Dave.
Yeah, hi. My question is for you, Damian. First, I love your style. It's so fucked up. I remember an epic show one time in Dundas Square you guys did. My question is about your creative direction. Kind of what's inspiring you right now, and is it true that you're working on some really cool new video or consulting with somebody on a movie or something? Or?
I made I guess inspiration right now is, I find it really hard to find inspiration right now. I find it like we're in a really depressing time. And I know that's supposed to inspire people, but it's kind of too depressing to be inspired to yell about stuff, I find. As far as like other work I'm doing a documentary series on some wrestling thing. I did a deathmatch documentary called Bloodlust, Tournament of Death, about people that that really push wrestling to the logical or illogical extreme, depending on
It's
your...
to the death, right?
No one actually has ever died.
Oh.
People have had to be airlifted out. Every single person needs medical attention. That's so good. 100%. Thank you. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of blood.
Why are you so fascinated by these things? You just said it's such a depressing time. Everything's so bleak. Yet, you've got this documentary where people are smashing each other to death almost.
Well, I think the same thing that I loved about punk and hardcore is there's a level of camaraderie and consent in the violence. Like in hardcore punk shows, like I think when it's done properly, I'm not saying it's always done properly, it should be like everyone's able to take part in the fun. So it should never be physically violent and horrific enough that people are not able to participate, but it should be violent and chaotic enough that everyone gets that release.
You're a huge wrestling fan, and you know we were talking about your vocal influences. Was wrestling an influence on you as a singer?
To bleed, definitely. Like I think when you see blood,
when you
reaction.
kind of lacerate yourself. And
so I watch these wrestlers and I'm like, they bleed. How do they do it? And I thought they were actually just like being busted open the hard way, as they call it in wrestling, which is actually where you hit yourself with a microphone. And I did that. Don't do that. But then I learned that what they actually do is razor blade themselves after taking aspirin. And you bleed. You bleed like crazy.
Okay, well that's. I feel like you're threatening me. Well, that's great. I mean, I appreciate that. Are you guys happy with the answers there?
That's it. Keep it fucked up.
Okay. Thank you very much for the questions, everyone. How about a hand for our audience members? Thank you, guys. All right. Well, for more information about our guests tonight, you can follow them on Twitter. You can also follow me on the Twitter there. And you know what? Before we go, I feel like we need to end on a song. I know the Bicycles are going to play, but is anybody in the audience celebrating a birthday anytime soon, or did you just celebrate one? Anybody? Anybody at all?
I did, Vish.
You did?
I celebrated a birthday.
Is it you again, Shanti? Oh, interesting. All right. Well, I think the whole room should sing happy birthday as a group to Shanti. No judgment.
Yeah.
We're just all going to sing together, all right?
Is this public domain now?
Yeah, it's public domain. I can do it. That's why I'm doing it. Thanks. My lawyer, Damian, checking in. All right, who wants to, you want to lead us, Micah?
Sure. How do you guys like this note to start with? And what's your name, love?
Shanti.
Shanti. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shanti. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Shanti. Thanks again to everyone involved in making this show happen, including you, the audience, and watching us right now. We'll see you next time. That's our show. Good night, everybody. Thanks to you guys. Good night.